glad to have David, one of the members of our club. If you want to know something or want to see it, you call him, and has a wonderful set of collections, British colonies, and we're going to get to see tonight a few of his revenues, which I think you'll find very, very exciting.
So can you see that now, David? I want to
Yeah.
make sure that's visible.
Yes.
Excellent. Thank you. I'll mute it and I'll let you go. Thank you.
Okay. Next slide. So here's an example where the bank check revenue stamp is used on a bank check. And it was used during the time period when it had to be used that way, because as you see, the check is dated December 16th, and it wasn't until December 25th that they changed the rules and said you did not have to match. This one I think is particularly interesting because the check is made out to the wife of a volunteer. And as it says on the left-hand side, this is extra pay for families of volunteers. So it's a nice Civil War item.
Absolutely. Nice.
Next. I found these, and at first I thought, wow, I got a proof and a issued stamp, both with plate numbers. But unfortunately, it turns out they're not the same stamp. So why are they both plate number 50? Well, it turns out that all of the 50-cent stamps are plate 50, except with a letter following, which denotes which type it is. So the R is for the lease, and the one at the bottom, although it's cut off, it would have been an I following the 50. These I thought were quite attractive and unusual. I'm not sure they're really hybrid proofs, but that's the best term I could come up with. They are plate proofs on India that have been cut to shape and then mounted on card. Apparently, most of the small size ones were done this way. I've not seen any of the larger size. This is an example of the consular fee stamp used on peace. And I thought it was attractive because it's got a really nice wax seal on it. But this came from our consulate in Copenhagen. And on the talking about big stamps and little stamps, well, this is a big stamp. 14 inches by 7 inches. Now, you say that doesn't look like a stamp to me, but it says right on it, it is a stamp for Internal Revenue Special Tax. Now, Scott doesn't list them, even though it has a denomination and it says it's a revenue stamp. I suppose because this was a document of itself, and you were not sticking this onto some other document. So maybe that sort of takes away from the meaning of stamp, but nonetheless, I claim it's a stamp. So next, then here's one back issued in 1950, back when $50,000 was actually a fair amount of money. And I believe this is the highest value revenue stamp. Can you imagine how much whiskey there was behind this stamp to require a tax of $50,000? Next. And of course, my favorite, the Hunt remedy, which Charlie's already discussed, but here's some examples, both the issued stamps and some plate proofs, and in the lower case, a die proof. Sometimes the proofs are easier to find than the issued stamps. In this case, they're all hard to find. Next. An advertising card for Hunt's Remedy. I guess Pretty Girl has always sold stuff. I think that's the last one.
It is, David. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Questions for David? Really appreciate. I'm going to stop sharing. Thank you, David. Any questions for David?
I just forgot when I introduced David that David is the president of the Reading Club. So our sister club, which we often think of as one big club, Reading and Lancaster, because we're always helping each other out on shows and trips and things like that. So we thank you and many of their members as well. And we have dual membership for many.
Hey, David, a question, because it's not easy to find any RK on any piece, really. And so that's a phenomenal piece to see that use with the fee, paying the right rate to still have the wax seal. And is that the fuller doc? Did you just crop that, or is that still the full document?
No, it's cut.
Yeah.
And that's the way I got it. I mean, I did not cut it.
Yeah. I know you would not have cut it if it was the full document. Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Usually what you find them are on shipping documents.
Yes.
I have a couple of those that either attest that the ship is free from disease or something about the cargo or whatever,
Exactly. Very nice piece. Thank you for sharing. Any other questions for David, please? David, I have not as well, and I'm glad you showed those hybrids, because I agree when I saw this that I didn't know what else to call them, because I've got one or two of the small, have never seen them, right? When you go beyond the 10 cent to the 25, I just have not, well, the 20, not seen them on the strips when you get to 25, 50 cent or beyond. So I'm kind of puzzled, as you're right, why you're going to have that as a process and you've gone to this effort for these, why would you not do, right, the black over the, I'm still kind of puzzled in that. So,
or even what the purpose was.
right. I don't know.
I suppose they were presentation items, but
Yeah, right. So that's right. That's where you go, right? Is that these were definitely made up for whomever.
Yeah.
And given out. Absolutely. Yeah. It's a great point. Those are hard to find, David. I don't know how you find them. Those are beautiful. Just beautiful.
well, Bill Lang's had a horde of them.
Ah, there you go. Of course. Yes, Bill. Thank you. Thank you. And we've seen his auctions over the past weeks and months, and here we go. So we know it. Yes. Thank you, sir. Any other questions for David, please?